Gentlemen, I'm very grateful to Sir Mike Rake for those incredibly kind words, which I much appreciate, particularly as I've been going round this week all around the country. I kept coming across more and more BT employees everywhere. So all that's happened is I've destroyed any productivity rate that BT may ever have, for which I apologise, but it does show how hugely important companies like BT are in helping to get the message across about something like START. So I'm hugely grateful to Sir Mike Rake and all of BT, apart from others who've sponsored this whole exercise. And I did particularly want to thank Tim for his marvellous role and contribution in all this, probably since God knows when this morning. And it is very impressive for technology. I'm hugely impressed by that. But I really wanted just to, if I may at the beginning, start by congratulating everybody who's been involved in these presentations. I do have some idea of how hard you all worked to decide what you would put forward, and clearly you've given a huge amount of thought to all this, and given us, I think, probably an awful lot to think about. I can imagine how difficult it may have been to stand up in front of all these people here and say what you did, but it was very impressive indeed. So judging by the standard you've set today, I feel very heartened that the business community of tomorrow is going to be in good hands. That's the great thing. I also want, if I may, to congratulate everyone who's been involved in putting together this Working Towards a Smarter Future event. And this collaboration between business and the community, Sustainability West Midlands, Smarter Working West Midlands, BT, Thinktank, and my Mayday network has provided us with an immense amount of food for thought about the future we all want and how we can work together to achieve it. But, ladies and gentlemen, let's be clear that if we are going to have much of a future at all on this planet, we do need to start doing things differently. Not just a bit differently, or differently when we feel like it, but very differently all the time. The fact is that the way we and countless millions of others are living our lives today is eroding many of the Earth's life support systems and changing the Earth's climate, perhaps irreversibly. And I was intrigued by the number of people who tried to deny that there is any evidence of this, but it always intrigues me that I always wonder where people think the greenhouse gases go. I mean, do they escape rather conveniently through the holes of the atmosphere and vanish happily into space? The trouble is, of course, that with all the amount of gases we're producing, you know better than I, it's becoming very difficult for nature's ability to absorb all this extra CO2 to cope, whether it's the oceans or whatever. And so they've now become saturated, they're becoming more acidic. And interestingly, I visited the British Antarctic Survey offices in Cambridge 2 years ago, and there you can see the ice core samples that they've taken from the Antarctic at huge depths, which have revealed the basic, once you plot out the graph of atmospheric CO2, you can go back nearly 1 million years. Intriguingly, of course, the start of all this, the signs of CO2 build-up, coincided with the Industrial Revolution. So that is why it seems to me it's so important to initiate the sustainability revolution now. So we are consuming the natural resources that sustain us at a rate that cannot continue for long. Put simply, we are right now seriously threatening our own survival, and time is running out. This is the problem, to do something about it. Now, as some of you may know, I'm coming towards the end of a solid week of chugging around the country, and in case you're wondering about this, it's all being done in a train powered entirely by biodiesel made from astonishingly eco-efficient used cooking oil. And it's all part of the START project being run by my charities with the support of a number of major companies, including, of course, BT, as I said earlier. START is not about telling people how awful things are, nor about telling them what they must stop doing or need to avoid. It's about showing everyone in a straightforward and, I hope, inspiring way the things they can start doing, one step at a time, which will not only improve their lives, but also help our one and only inhabitable planet to sustain us all. Yes, our one and only inhabitable planet. So what we have seen here today sets a great example of the thinking that underpins START. Now, as those of you here and in London who have been involved in my Mayday network will know only too well, I've been trying for a very long time to demonstrate that the real starting point is to recognize a rather staggering fact, so obvious that we miss it. Nature has been sustaining all of life on Earth for millions of years, and although we have developed some pretty amazing technology, nature's technology is actually the most brilliant technology of all. If you think about it for a moment, nature never grows short of energy, she never produces toxic waste, she never eats into her reserves so that next time round she has less to work with. Nature's system works productively in a balanced, durable way, year after year after year. As I say, our technology is also rather brilliant. And here I am in Birmingham, being linked to those of you in London, and with all of the Mayday companies who are watching this on the internet. The technology that makes this possible is becoming ever smarter and more intuitive all the time. It is incredibly dynamic, and we need to keep driving its capability, pushing the boundaries of what we can do with it to help us create better lives and livelihoods and cleaner, more sustainable solutions for our homes, businesses and schools. And ladies and gentlemen, that's the point I want to make, if I may. So let's think about how these extraordinary developments in human technology can better mimic the best technology of all. How can we start to develop techniques and systems that do what nature does, using energy the way she does, operating within the same kind of virtuous circles, where waste is reduced to a minimum, and where we end up living off what nature produces, rather than eating so voraciously into her vital capital reserves. This is already happening in many fields, and the aim of START is to show people what is possible. And I would urge you, for example, just to take a look at the kind of technology coming out of something called biomimicry, which is a blend of zoology and engineering, learning from nature's systems and mimicking them. But can we go further? And I certainly hope so. All of the predictions are that if we stand a chance of containing global warming, then we have to achieve dramatic reductions in the amount of greenhouse gases we produce. At the moment, for every dollar of wealth we produce, we emit 770 grams of CO2. But by 2050, that has to have dropped to just 6 grams. And after that, if we wish the developing world to achieve Western income levels, we will have to make sure that for every dollar of wealth we produce, we take carbon out of the atmosphere. Our technology and our outlook have to be focused on that necessity, but technology alone will not achieve the sort of shift that is required. We have to apply our dynamic imagination to improving the way we see our place within nature's system. And that includes developing the sort of economic system that works without eroding nature's capacity to endure. Now, in a moment, I will tour the think tank, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing the Smethwick steam engine designed by James Watt and built in 1779. And that technology started a revolution that swept the world, changing things forever. And of course, as I said, started, the signs of atmospheric CO2 and all those ice cores. But what I'm calling for here today is the need for us to start another revolution, a sustainability revolution. And it is clear to me that technology, and particularly communications technology, must be at the heart of it. And I'm sure I'm not the only one here, or for that matter in London, who will dimly remember the life before mobile phones or even fax machines. It's amazing there was a life. Somehow we managed. But the pace of change since those not so distant days has accelerated to the point where many of us here today communicate, learn, do business, and relax in ways that would have been completely incomprehensible only a few years ago. We have developed incredible ways of communicating, but we must also think carefully about what it is we are going to communicate with all this wonderful technology. It offers real hope. We have never faced a crisis as grave as the one that confronts humanity today, but nor have we had such tools at our disposal to understand and communicate the many things we can all start to do differently to find our way through. And that is why I'm so excited by the achievements of my Mayday network. It was established by business in the community and now comprises more than 2,600 businesses, all united in the simple belief that collaboration and leadership are essential in tackling climate change effectively. And this is a largely virtual network achieving real change on the ground. But it is doing so based on the imperative that we have to start doing things not just differently, but very differently indeed. We began the network with 4 themes of engage, manage, reduce, then measure and report. And this year I'm delighted to say that transform has been added to the list, because transformation is the best way of describing what we all need to start doing next. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have enjoyed being here today as much as I have, and that you will continue to support START in its mission of getting everyone, and I do mean everyone, to start taking positive steps to reframe our collective outlook on the way the world really works and our place within it. Then we might build the kind of world we all want to live in, and, of course, most importantly, leave behind for our children. It really is that simple, but it is that important. And now I think I'm going to hand over to Stephen Howard and Philip Green, who seem to be fast becoming the Anton Deck of business and community events, to explain a little bit more about the Mayday to START journey.